Following on from the previous video, we were trying to investigate what happens when you integrate it for a general case, 1 over x to the power of n from 1 to infinity. And we got to this stage here. If you try and integrate this, it will then give you this. So from here we can actually see what's going on. Suppose here n is 2. So let's look at a case that we've already seen, 1 over x squared. So now we are looking at a case where n is 2. So where n is 2, it will be 1 over x squared. And we've seen this. We've already seen that this converges. But let's just pretend we don't know. So let's just follow this. So when n equals 2, so when you put this into here, this will become 2. So you've got 1, and then here you've got 1 take away 2. That will be negative 1, and then allow b to head towards infinity, meaning allow this b to be very, very, very large. So let's just pretend it to be a very large number, 9999. And then remember, n is 2 here. Remember, we'll put this into here. So this n here, this thing here, 2 take away 1 will be 1. So in a case of n equals 2, so in a case of it being 1 over x squared, you can see that this thing here, this thing is going to be very, very big, and then you've got 1 divided by a very, very big number. So this thing here will be 0, and then 0 take away 1, that will be negative 1. And so this whole thing here will be negative 1. Well, negative 1 times negative 1, so that will be 1. So we've already seen this, but so in the case of n equals 2, it gives us an area of 1. You can see that it converges because of this bit here. This thing here is going to be very, very big, and 1 divided by very, very big, this thing here is going to be 0. You can see that it converges. Now let's look at a case when n equals 3. So now let's look at a case when it's 1 over x to the power of 3. So if you put this into here, so this thing here will be negative 2, and then now allow this b here to be very, very big. Allow b to tend towards infinity. So allow this thing here to be very, very big, and then if you look at this here, look at this bit here, this will be 3 take away 1. 3 take away 1 would be 2. So here you can see that you've got a very, very big number, and then you square it, it becomes even bigger, and then you've got 1 divided by a very, very big number, meaning this whole thing here will head towards 0. And then you've got 0 take away 1, this thing here will be negative 1. So negative 1 times this thing here, it will be whatever. But the point here is it's going to converge. So as you increase this, as you increase this to a 4, then this will be to a 3. So you can see that a very, very big number to the power of 3, and so on. The point is, as you increase this, you can see that it converges. In the case of n equals 1, if you try and put 1 into here, this thing here breaks down. But we've already seen this case here when you try and integrate it from 1 to infinity of 1 over x. We've already seen that this diverges. So even though with this method here it breaks down, because when you put 1 into here, you're going to have 1 divided by 0 here. So this thing here breaks down, then the whole thing breaks down. But we've already seen the case of 1 over x. We've already seen this, and we've seen that it diverges. So really we've taken care of the case n equals 1. And then as you increase n, it will get bigger. As you increase n, this thing here will get bigger and bigger and bigger, so meaning it will converge. Now let's look at a case when n equals 0. So in the previous video we got to this stage here. Now let's look at a case of n being 0. So n being 0, if you put 0 into this n here, you will have this. Well, this thing here will be 1. So 1 over 1 will be, well, this thing here, if you put 0 into this n here, you will have x to the power of 0. Well, x to the power of 0 is 1. So this this thing here, you can imagine it as a graph of y equals 1. And then as you integrate it from 1 to infinity, you can see the area will keep on increasing and increasing and increasing. And it's not going to converge. You can see that as you integrate it from 1 to infinity, the area will just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It doesn't converge. So in the case of n equals 0, it doesn't converge. But let's just do it anyway. Put it into here. Put it into here. So 1 take away 0, that will be 1. And then now allow b to head towards infinity. So allow this to be a very, very big number. Let's just pretend it to be 99999. And then when you put 0 into this n here, so 0 take away this will be minus 1. And then, well, something to the power of minus 1. You got 1, well, this thing here is really this, 1 divided by 1 over 9999, which is the same as 1 times 9999 over 1, which is 999. Basically, this thing here, you can imagine as this, which is a very, very big number. So this thing here, it will head towards, as b heads towards infinity, this thing here will be heading towards infinity. So a very, very big number here, take away 1, which is still going to be a very, very big number. So this thing here is really going to be infinity. And then infinity times this thing here, it would be infinity. This whole thing here, it will head towards infinity. So it's not going to converge. This thing here is going to head towards infinity. Now, in the case of n equals -1, so put this into here. So you've got 1 take away -1, so that will be 2, and then allow b to head towards infinity. So let's allow b to head towards infinity, and then when you put -1 into this n here, this thing here will then become -2. So this thing here, you can imagine this thing here as being infinity squared, which will be, so suppose this thing here is a very, very big number, and then you square this very big number, it's going to be even bigger. So this thing here is going to be very, 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 very big. Take away 1, it's going to still be very, very big. So this thing here is infinity. As b tends to infinity, this thing here will be heading towards infinity. So infinity times whatever is still going to be infinity. So as you decrease n, so let's say -2 here, this thing here will tend towards infinity. So it's not going to converge, it's going to diverge. So in general, when you try and integrate this from 1 to infinity, it will converge if n is greater than 1, and it would diverge if n is less than or equal to 1. Okay.